Welcome back. For our roundtable discussion this time, are we in a tech bubble? Should we care that our Uber driver is not an employee of the Uber company? And how the business world is reacting to the Pope's declaration on global climate change. Joining us to perhaps pontificate, Jonathan Aberman of Amplifier Ventures and Kazra Kangarloo of the Washington Business Journal. Welcome both. Good to have you both here. Let's begin with the Uber ruling out west in California. Uber, the courts have ruled, cannot treat its people as contractors because they are the court decided employees. How does this matter for the firm's business model?
It's a big deal because if you have employees, you have to provide them with benefits. And if they're employees, then the cars probably have to be owned by Uber. It will dramatically change Uber's business margins. But Uber, frankly, is a business that depended upon shifting things that other companies do have as their own expenses on other people. That's one of the hallmarks of what the Silicon Valley people call the sharing economy.
An unwelcome decision from their viewpoint?
From Uber's perspective, absolutely. From society's perspective, I would argue that it's better for people to be working at a place where they have access to benefits.
Does this ruling potentially spread beyond California? Will the firms like Uber and Lyft be hoping to quarantine this in the Golden State?
I mean, it's really going to happen on a state-by-state basis. You know, it would take an act of Congress to, you know, put in some new rule that would make the, you know, what happened in California spread beyond that.
That's
so,
right.
You know, chances of that happening not very high, I would say, you know.
Employment laws like this generally are a state-by-state issue. But this is not a new thing. Microsoft for years depended upon using contractors who were really employees as a way to goose their profits too. It's not a new game. It's something that, frankly, technology companies do as a matter of course. All that's happening here is you've got a company with a $50 billion valuation that maybe isn't necessarily as supportable if its business model is going to have employee benefits and things like that.
It could definitely ding its valuation.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I mean, Uber is still a company that's taken a novel approach to an age-old industry, and users like it. You know, customers, when they start using it, they don't seem to stop. So it has that going for it, at least.
We'll be, I think a lot of folks will be watching to see if an increase in what the company has to pay out in benefits and other expenses impacts what we as consumers pay when we jump into a
Yeah, that is definitely the
vehicle.
big question, but that, you know, could happen on a state-by-state basis. We'll see how it plays out.
Look, that's an issue for every business. And when we talk about another show, the minimum wage issue, when businesses have to pay more money for their employees, they only have two choices. One is to accept a shrink in margin, the other is to pass it on to consumers. Hard to pass price increases on to consumers right now because we're in a deflationary economy in a lot of ways.
Let's shift gears, talk about the rumblings that are out there regarding what might be the beginnings of a tech bubble bursting moment. Are we in a situation where the valuation companies have on paper bears no resemblance to what they're taking in terms of, bears no resemblance to their profitability?
Well, look, valuation is always a function of supply and demand. We have a fundamental issue right now, which is money is so darn cheap because the effective cost of money is zero because of all the Fed easing, that in different parts of our economy, bubbles are starting to spring up in different asset values. I believe that the Silicon Valley model of innovation right now is very dependent on people piling money into these so-called unicorn, multi-billion-dollar companies. There are, what, 30 of them now? There's a large number of them, including Uber and Lyft and others. I don't believe that it's sustainable because the public market valuations of similar companies are not comparable. So that means either the public markets have to go much higher, which I'm not sure they have the room to run, or these private values will come down. When that happens, which is a natural correction, people will say, oh, the party's over. You know, the reality is the party continues because innovation and venture capital is it's only a 50-year cycle. I mean, it's been going on for a long time. It's not going to stop.
Do you think we're in for a system shock?
You know, I think the key to this bubble, you know, as far as private valuations go, is that they're confined to the private market. So, you know, in the 2000s when you had a similar tech bubble, these were companies that were going public before they even had revenue most of the time. What you have right now is kind of the reverse, where you have private companies holding off from the public markets for as long as they can and just soaking up private capital. So it will probably be confined if there is, you know, any kind of burst to those companies, the impact. They're the ones that will be hit by it.
I completely agree with that. I think that in 2000 and 2001, the venture capital industry had pushed companies out in the public markets that should not have been public. This time around, they're keeping them on their balance sheet so that the value disconnect, when it comes clear, it will be a much slower, much more invisible decline. We won't see it in the public markets the same way we did last time.
The Pope weighing in on climate change, siding with those who think that human activity is having an adverse effect on our weather, on the health of the planet, really. What impact, if any, do you expect this to have?
You know, I think one arena where it may or may not have any impact is the political arena, and that's primarily because, you know, heading into the Republican primary, most conservative Republicans still don't even accept the science behind climate change. So, you know, you have to ask yourselves, okay, is this going to put any pressure on the 20 or however many Republican candidates that are, you know, lining up this time? And the answer is probably no. As far as the general election, I'm, you know, curious to see how the Republican frontrunner, whoever he is, will respond to what is going to be kind of increased, you know, public scrutiny of the subject.
The reaction from some who might side with the Pope on other issues, this time it's along the lines of stick to your knitting.
Make no mistake, this is a big deal. This is an encyclical. The last time this happened was 50 years ago around abortion. And for the leader of the largest church in the world to say, a faith-based organization, that science is correct, he's only joining the Pentagon, every major oil company, and Miami. You know, Miami's trying to secede from Florida right now so they can deal with the issue of the rising water table. I would like very much if we could have a situation where politicians wore chevrons, the people that they were being backed by, the same way that NASCAR guys wear logos of the people that are sponsoring them. It might explain an awful lot about why we have politicians saying that climate change doesn't exist.
Gentlemen, stand by for just a moment. A quick break here. When we come back, our weekly pop quiz. And we'll figure. We end, as always, with our pop quiz. Gentlemen, the Pope travels to the U.S. this fall. He'll be in several major American cities. He'll be speaking. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that he continues to bang the drum on climate, that he continues to press the issue here. Can he, through the force of will and personality, what have you, draw the presidential candidates, particularly on the Republican side, away from their position on climate, which right now seems to boil down to Pope, stick to your knitting, we'll handle the science?
I'm not sure that he will be able to change how the Republican candidates position themselves, but I do believe that he is going to force a conversation about politics and Christianity. For too long, we've allowed people or political leaders to use Christianity as a shield. I think that for the leader of a billion people to say that this is a Christian issue is a very big event.
Catherine.
I think he can maybe force a little bit of change, at least put them in an awkward position on the Republican side, because, you know, the louder that the conversation gets and the more that the Pope can stir things up, the more that a response other than stick to your guns will be required.
Casro, Jonathan, great conversation. Thank you very much for
Thanks.
your time. Good to have you here. Good to have you there. Thanks very much for watching us this time. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought about the show. You can follow us on Facebook or on Twitter @WashBiz. And if you like, watch past interviews at WJLA.com. We'll see you right back here next time.